Russia has dismissed U.S. President Donald Trump's recent comments about imposing further sanctions on Moscow over the Ukraine war, calling them absolutely useless and having no effect whatsoever. On Sunday, September 7th, President Trump told reporters that he was ready to move to the next phase of sanctions. He warned that secondary tariffs on major Russian trading partners and additional measures could be imposed if Moscow did not pursue peace with Ukraine.
Are you ready to move to the second phase of sanctions against Russia or punishing Putin? How was your call with the Prime Minister?
Over the weekend, the conflict intensified as Russia launched its largest aerial attack to date. For the first time, a Ukrainian government building housing cabinet ministers was directly hit during the assault.
Russia had a pretty big attack on Ukraine over the weekend.
I know all about it.
You have always said how good your relationship is with President Putin, but he's not really giving you anything that you want. Is that making you less trustful of him?
Well, nobody was tougher in Russia than me. That has to do with the pipeline, as you know, Nord Stream 2 and lots of other things. But I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm not happy about the whole situation. You know, it's interesting. It doesn't affect us because it's not our soldiers. But they're losing now. I used to tell you 5,000. They're losing 7,000 between Ukraine and Russia, 7,000 soldiers every single week. It's such a horrible waste of humanity. So, no, I am not thrilled with what's happening there, I will tell you. I think it's going to get settled. So I settled 7 wars. This, I would have said, would have been maybe the easiest one to settle of all. But with war, you never know what you're getting. But we're going to get it, I believe we're going to get it settled. But I am not happy with them. I'm not happy with anything having to do with that war. It's just such a waste of great humanity.
Obstacle to a peace deal in Ukraine. As of right now, what do you think is the greatest obstacle to a peace deal?
Well, we're going to see. I mean, we have some very interesting discussions. You know, Europe, certain European leaders are coming over to our country on Monday or Tuesday, and individually. And I think we're going to get that settled. I think we're going to get it settled. We have to. You can't lose. You know, when they're losing 5,000 to 7,000 soldiers a week for no reason, you have to get it settled. Of all of the wars, whether it's the Congo and Rwanda, they said it was impossible to settle. You look at every one of, I mean, every one of these wars were impossible. I got every one of them settled, 7 of them. 7. This was the one I really thought would be the easiest, but it's not. But I think it's going to get settled.
But there was a reporting in Axios that in the last 3 months of the Biden administration, they did about 4,000 pardons. The chief of staff's assistant was sending emails to pardon his own family members. Are you still interested in getting to the bottom of the AutoPen scandal?
Well, I think the AutoPen is one of the great scandals of our time. The AutoPen was our president, or to put it a different way, whoever operated the AutoPen was our president. It's not allowed. It's just not allowed. And they gave a pardon to the Unselect Committee after the Unselect Committee realized that that whole situation was a hoax and it was all their fault, including Nancy Pelosi turning down security and all, you know, turning down soldiers. It all came out bad for them. They burned everything. They got rid of everything. There's absolutely nothing there. It's all gone. And that was based on an AutoPen. You know, they gave those members of Congress that were on the Unselect Committee, they gave them pardons.
What do you think?
So I think it's a tremendous scandal.
What do you think the media would say if you pardon your kids your last day in office via an AutoPen? Don't you think the media would go haywire?
Well, I think it would have been a big story. Yeah, would have been. I like this guy.
Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said that the sanctions imposed on Russia over nearly 4 years have had little to no effect. He also suggested that Kyiv and its European allies continue to prioritize sanctions in Washington's agenda. Overall, one thing can probably be said: this unprecedented number of sanctions that have been imposed on our country over the past as well, it's already almost 4 years. Now 4 years has had no effect whatsoever. They have proven absolutely useless in terms of putting pressure on Russia. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy called for stronger sanctions, arguing that external pressure is necessary to push Russia toward peace. He noted that Russia's recent attacks are a test of the international community's response.
Dear Ukrainians, both men and women, right now, in our cities, Kiev, Sumy, and other towns and communities, people are helping those wounded after the Russian strike. The locations hit over the past day: Kiev, Sumy, Kremenchuk, Odessa, Dnipro, Kryvyi Rih, Zaporizhia. In Kiev, the rubble is still being cleared. There may be bodies beneath the debris. The Cabinet of Ministers building has been damaged. At this moment, it is known that more than 40 people have been injured across the country. 20 of them are in Kiev. My condolences to the families and loved ones of those who have died. In total, just in the capital, the air raid alert lasted for more than 7.5 hours. Kiev was one of the main targets for Russian drones. Now, once again, air raid alerts are spreading across Ukraine, and it's because of the shards. In just one night, there were more than 400 shards. The total number of drones in that strike was 810, meaning almost half were drones that the Russians used to complicate the air situation and overload air defenses. There were also missiles, including ballistic ones. A significant number of them were shot down by our defenders, and that is a substantial result. There are also results regarding the interceptor drones. Over 1,500 interceptions were made during the night. And the electronic warfare units, Army aviation, mobile fire groups, Air Force fighter pilots, and anti-aircraft gunners also performed well. Thank you all. Of course, not everything is being shot down yet, and we still need to further strengthen our air defense. This is a top priority task. The Russians are maintaining the number of shards and massive strikes at the level of 300 to 400 per attack. Our interceptors need to reach the appropriate level. This is achievable. The production potential exists. The finances and contracts are in place and are being provided. What is needed is the scaling up of the relevant units. Thank you to everyone in the Defense Forces who is carrying out this task, and thank you to everyone who is helping every volunteer, every company developing this interceptor technology, implementing it, training crews. All of this is about saving people's lives. And it is important that today there is a broad response from our partners to this strike. It is obvious that Russia is trying to inflict pain on Ukraine, and the strikes are becoming more brazen. This is a clear sign that Putin is testing the world. Will they accept this? Will they resign themselves to it? That is why it is important that the statements of state and institutional leaders are followed by strong actions, sanctions against Russia, against individuals connected to Russia, as well as strong tariffs and other restrictions on trade with Russia. Their losses must be felt, and that is what is truly convincing, as well as our long-range capabilities. Putin does not want negotiations. He is clearly hiding from them. So, the petrol shortage in Russia and other economic troubles are a logical response to Russia's refusal to agree to a ceasefire or to meet with leaders. This week, there will be a meeting in the Ramstein format. Today, together with Ukraine's Minister of Defense, Denis Shmyhal, we discussed preparations and priorities for the negotiations at Ramstein. We are expecting new support packages. Rustem Umerov also reported today. In the coming days, we are preparing a staff meeting focused specifically on the technological aspects of our defense and our long-range actions. I spoke with the President of France, Emmanuel Macron. I thanked Emmanuel for his support and coordination, for our joint efforts to put pressure on Russia, and so that Europeans together can do more to bring this war to an end. We were also in contact with Mark Rutte today. There have already been many responses from leaders, heads of government, and heads of international organizations. Thank you to everyone. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine is informing all partners about the latest Russian escalation. We are counting on a strong response from America. That is what is needed. And one more thing. Today is the day of Ukraine's military intelligence. Thank you, lads, for your strength, for all your successful operations. I especially want to thank you for the operation in the Black Sea, which opened up maritime export corridors for Ukraine. Thank you for the vital information. Respect to our intelligence officers. And we always remember the fallen heroes. Glory to Ukraine.
As Trump's deadline for Russia has ended, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent highlighted the importance of coordinated action with European partners, saying, President Trump and Vice President Vance had a very productive call with EU President von der Leyen on Friday. We are prepared to increase pressure on Russia, but we need our European partners to follow us. Further economic pressure can drive the Russian economy towards a full collapse, and that will bring President Putin to the table. The situation remains tense, with both military actions and diplomatic efforts continuing to shape the unfolding conflict in Ukraine.